Good morning, Mr. Adrian, and also Mr. Ibrahim Hamza. Thank you for joining us, and His Excellency Ambassadors join. Is on mute. Ivan?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Maybe just say hello. Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr.
Years of experience in my life.
His Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and dialing into the webinar event today. My name is Ivan. I'm from Doha Bank, Singapore Representative Office. The topic for today's event is bilateral and synergistic opportunities between Qatar and Singapore. To give you a quick overview, Qatar is one of the GCC countries. Land area is about 60% larger than Singapore, and it has a population of 2.8 million, including foreign workers. While Qatar is relatively small in size, it is a fast-growing economy, and it is a AA rated country, blessed with strong gas reserves. Qatar is one of the world's largest exporters of LNG gas, and based on current production levels, the country's gas reserves is estimated to last for another 130 years. Qatar's GDP is about 180 billion US dollars, of which around 50% is oil and gas related. In 2008, Qatar launched its Economic Vision 2030 plan, which aims to diversify and reduce the country's reliance on hydrocarbon exports and develop non-oil sectors, including healthcare, technology, manufacturing, education, and service sectors, etc. Qatar and Singapore have enjoyed close and strong bilateral relationship over the years. Qatar is Singapore's third largest trading partner from the GCC. In 2019, total merchandise trade between Qatar and Singapore is about 6.4 billion US dollars. The number of Singaporean companies operating in Qatar have also been increasing over the years. And as Qatar continues to develop and diversify its economy, there could be opportunities for even more Singapore businesses to potentially leverage and ride on the Qatar growth story. Today, we have the honor and privilege of having three guest speakers joining us in this event. His Excellency Mr. Jai Sohan, Singapore Ambassador to Qatar, will first say a few words and give the opening speech. Mr. Imran Hamza, Regional Group Director of Enterprise Singapore, is the second speaker, and he will share with the audience on how Enterprise Singapore can help and assist Singapore companies in the Middle East markets. Mr. Adrian Tan, Secretary General of Singapore Business Council in Qatar, and he is also the General Manager of CBM Qatar, is the third speaker. Mr. Adrian will share some practical tips for Singapore companies looking to do business in Qatar. Dr. Sitaraman, Group CEO of Doha Bank, is the fourth speaker, and he will present and share more information from Doha Bank's perspective on bilateral and synergistic opportunities between Qatar and Singapore. In the last section, we will have a panel comprising some of our senior management colleagues from Doha Bank who will share further insights as well as address some of the key questions the audience may have during the session. Without further ado, we will now hand over the floor to the first speaker, His Excellency Mr. Jai Sohan, Singapore Ambassador to Qatar, for the opening speech. Over to you, sir, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Ivan. My name is Jai. Morning, Dr. Sita.
Good morning, Your Excellency.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on this short, I think a very useful panel discussion on bilateral and synergistic opportunities between Qatar and Singapore. I understand that we have a diverse cross-section of people tuning into this webinar. And I think most of you would be somewhat familiar with Singapore, having either visited Singapore in the past for business or tourism. In my remarks, I thought that I would touch on some of the intangible aspects of what I believe makes us in Singapore who we are. Following, I think, my view on what Singapore is all about. First, despite our small size, we are only about 1/16 the size of Qatar, and with no natural resources, we have always striven to be self-reliant. Having no natural resources has forced Singapore to be resourceful and to work hard to overcome our constraints and turn them into strengths. Second, we have always believed that Singapore's survival depends on being nimble and quick to respond to a rapidly evolving world. Forward planning and horizon scanning is key in this. Singapore is also working to ensure that our workforce always remains competitive and are investing significant resources to reskill our workers to equip them for the future economy and industries. Third is our focus on clean government. Successive generations of Singaporean leaders have worked hard to keep Singapore corruption-free in all aspects: the legal system, police, and our civil service. Fourth, Singapore's track record of good governance and integrity in all our dealings. This has played an important role in convincing foreign companies and investors to set up shop in our country, assured that their businesses and investments will be safe. Fifth, our approach to policy planning has always been hard-headed and pragmatic. I mean, to put it all in a nutshell, give you an example, in 1965, when we gained our independence, our per capita GNP was about $550. Today, we are somewhere around 110 to 120,000 per capita GNP. We have thousands of companies located in Singapore, and these are companies not only doing business in Singapore, but exploring the greater Southeast Asia and Asia Pacific region. Singapore has also built up a very extensive network of free trade agreements with many of our partner countries, including the EU, India, Australia, China, Japan, the ROK, the US, and the Gulf Cooperation Council. The GCC Singapore FTA, which came into force in September 2013, serves to strengthen the economic links between Singapore and Qatar. Singapore is also a very strong advocate for regional integration. We support institutions such as the ASEAN Economic Community, and through the AEC, businesses in Singapore can gain access to Southeast Asia's combined market of over 660 million people. Now, let me just turn the page to bilateral relations. I would say I've been here for 3.5 years now. I would say Qatar-Singapore relations are excellent. There are good exchanges of high-level bilateral visits between our two countries. Notable is the visit of His Highness the Emir to Singapore on a state visit in October 2017. I would say that one of the main foundations underpinning Singapore-Qatar relations is the Qatar-Singapore High-Level Joint Committee. This was established in 2006, and the HLJC is Singapore's highest such platform with a country in the Middle East. We have so far 28 agreements signed under the HLJC, ranging in areas such as healthcare, trade, education, culture, and public sector training, amongst others. The two countries have also established the implementation monitoring mechanism under the HLJC framework. This is a body that is co-chaired by our two foreign ministers, and the IMM helps to ensure regular follow-up and effective implementation of bilateral agreements and initiatives. There is a key understanding between the two countries that while it is good to have agreements signed, there is also a greater need for follow-up to ensure that the agreements are actually implemented and progress made in the agreements. And this is one of the core functions of the IMM. And the IMM spans following sectoral areas: information and communications technology, security, business, legal, sustainability, and social development. Ivan has already mentioned that economic relations, Singapore is the third largest trading partner Qatar was Singapore's third largest trading partner in the Middle East, and bilateral trade amounted to close to 22.5 billion Qatari riyals. Of note to potential businesses setting up in Singapore is the fact that both countries concluded a bilateral investment treaty, which will provide our companies in Singapore and in Qatar with better protections and will help boost investor confidence in our two economies. Ivan has also mentioned that there are several companies that have got projects in Qatar, and these are in sectors such as waste and water management, oil and gas, infrastructural development, e-solutions, and architectural planning. One thing of note is that to deepen the economic relationship, we have also established the Singapore Business Council here in Qatar. And Adrian, the Secretary General, will be sharing a few words with you after this. The Business Council aims to deepen connections between our two business communities and to serve as a resource point for companies interested in exploring commercial opportunities in the two markets. Looking forward, I would say that as two small countries, there is a lot more room for us to work together, notwithstanding the COVID-19 situation. There may be many possible synergies that we can and must explore. Our two countries are also working with like-minded countries to keep international trade routes and supply chains open. Singapore companies have strengths in areas such as urban planning, environmental and water management, e-government, and digitalization. Qatari companies have strengths in oil and gas, as well as emerging areas such as fintech, e-commerce, and Ivan also mentioned a few others earlier on. You know, we can look at collaboration in many, many areas, in the health field, fintech, LNG. I think the list is endless. Just to give an example, for LNG, what we can actually look at is for Qatar to consider using Singapore as a storage hub for the Southeast Asian region. This will give, I think, countries in the region that import lots of gas from Qatar a greater sense of security. I think both Qatar and Singapore also serve as regional hubs. Singapore companies can look at Qatar as a gateway to countries in the Middle East and to Turkey and to Azerbaijan and Georgia. Qatari companies can look at Singapore to explore not only Southeast Asia, but also the Asia Pacific markets, such as in China, India, South Korea, and Japan. You know, I would like to sort of end off by saying that while Qatar-Singapore relations are excellent, we should not be complacent. Standing still is not an option for the two countries when it comes to the relationship. We actually have to work harder to strive to do better, to bring the level of relations even higher. And I hope that this session will prove useful in sort of germinating ideas amongst the business communities of how we can work forward to improve the relations even more. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. Jai Soham Singh, Singapore Ambassador to State of Qatar. Let me invite Mr. Imran Hamza, Regional Group Director, Enterprise Singapore.
Thank you, Dr. Sita, Chief Executive, Mr. Ivan Liu, Chief Representative, for inviting Enterprise Singapore to be part of this webinar. Good morning and afternoon, Excellencies and participants from across different time zones. I'm glad here to share today about how Enterprise Singapore can be your growth partner globally, as well as a brief introduction of the Singapore economic and commercial ecosystem. So Enterprise Singapore is part of the larger Ministry of Trade and Industry family. We were formed in 2018 with the merger of two economic agencies. The first agency is International Enterprise Singapore, which focuses on driving the external economy of Singapore. The second agency is Spring Singapore, which looks after the SMEs while promoting productivity, innovation, and standards. Together, the formation of Enterprise Singapore will be able to provide a more holistic assistance to Singapore enterprises. So why was Enterprise Singapore created? We have observed that the economic context has been changing with industries and enterprises facing technology disruptions. Global growth has also been shifting towards Asia. It creates opportunities, but also increases competition at the same time. Therefore, it is important for Singapore enterprises to innovate and compete globally to grow. With these in mind, Singapore requires a strong local enterprise engine to power our economy and provide good jobs for Singaporeans. Our economy is fairly diversified, powered by a mixture of manufacturing and services sectors. Many of these businesses are not just domestic, but international, with Singapore as a base. The goods producing industries contribute to about 1/4 of Singapore's GDP, with manufacturing accounting for the majority. The remaining 3/4 is made mostly of services producing industries, with wholesale trade, finance, and business services contributing the bulk of it. In order to support our enterprises through their growth and transformation, we have to adopt a holistic enterprise-centric approach. As such, we place our focus in 3 areas. First, we seek to increase productivity levels for enterprises through digital adoption and improving efficiencies in their processes. Secondly, we encourage our companies to constantly innovate to keep up with the disruptions in the economy. And this is especially true for our situation today in a COVID world. Thirdly, we assist our companies to accelerate their internationalization plans and be globally competitive. To address the 3 focus areas, we have adopted 4 key strategies. First, we focus on building enterprise capabilities and have split the companies into 2 broad groups. The first group consists of companies requiring basic upgrading needs. We have made self-help tools and easy to adopt solutions for this group. SMEs can also access our SME centers around Singapore to inquire on the schemes available to them. The second group consists of companies with more specific needs and substantive growth plans. As such, they require more targeted and customized assistance, and Enterprise Singapore is able to tailor our support, both financially or capability-wise, working in close partnership with the management. Secondly, we see importance in developing the human capital. There are also 2 parts to this. First, building a talent pipeline that is important, and we facilitate that by encouraging internships and management associate programs in Singapore companies, especially those with overseas operations. Reskilling the workforce is also important. We work on joint programs with Workforce Singapore and Skills Future Singapore to upskill the workforce so they remain relevant as the industries transform over time. The third strategy is to further strengthen the enterprise ecosystem. We are constantly improving regulatory and compliance landscape, with Singapore constantly ranked as one of the top in the world for doing business. Strategy is to establish strong partnerships and network both in Singapore and globally in order to help drive industry initiatives and international partnerships. To help us achieve the 4 strategies mentioned earlier, we have developed a wide range of financial and non-financial assistance to cater to companies at different stages. We understand that businesses of different sizes have different needs and cater our assistance accordingly. For example, we help micro SMEs by providing them access to information and advice, and streamline our assistance programs to make it easily accessible. As for the more mature SMEs, we work towards helping them to innovate, transform, grow, and globalize. The lack of talent is often cited as the bottleneck, and we have recently launched the Global Ready Talent Program to support businesses in hiring and training their employees to take on international roles. I will touch on the startups portion later on in the presentation. So going global is key to Singapore companies' growth. And why is this so? Sorry. So first and foremost, with a population size of 5.7 million, our domestic market limits the growth potential of companies based in Singapore. Secondly, globalization not only opens up more market opportunities for companies, but also serves as an avenue to uncover new technologies and sourcing for resources. Thirdly, as companies expand overseas, more PMET jobs are created. And I think this is important in driving Singapore's productivity and growth in the longer term. With this in mind, Enterprise Singapore has established 36 offices globally, with a regional office based in the UAE. These overseas centers allow us to work in market partners closely and facilitate business exchanges between Singapore and the various countries. We are also working on connecting our vibrant startup ecosystem with others through the Global Innovation Alliance initiative. When Singapore companies are looking to make their entry into new markets, we can provide financial assistance to defray initial startup costs and accelerate their expansion plans. We also work with trade association chambers to lead business missions and participate in trade shows and exhibitions. There are also various networking platforms and talent development schemes for companies to tap on. We also seek to increase our internationalization efforts through strategic partnerships. On the G2G front, citing the examples mentioned by Ambassador Jai earlier, Singapore has a free trade agreement with the GCC, as well as the Singapore-Qatar High-Level Joint Committee Framework. We also partner trade associations and chambers to provide support for companies expanding overseas. One example would be the SPF Global Connect program, which helps companies venture into new markets. We are constantly looking to onboard more in-market multipliers to provide market knowledge, business matching services, and access to opportunities. We have observed that a critical factor of success is in creating a win-win partnership, and we continue to advocate Singapore companies in exploring meaningful collaborations with in-market counterparts. We do have a wide range of Singapore companies in the Middle East, and they span across a multitude of verticals, such as master planning, utilities, hospitality, transport, and logistics. The names that you see here are but some that have a long-standing presence in the region. I'd just like to touch a bit more on the innovation front for Singapore companies. So innovation enables companies to develop new technologies or adopt new solutions, helping them differentiate their offerings and become more globally competitive. Today, Singapore has gained recognition as a regional innovation center, ranking first in Asia. Our startup ecosystem has also come in third in Asia. Our companies also need to innovate so they can compete better globally with differentiated products that offer greater value rather than lower cost. And how do we go about doing this? We focus on the various support pillars to drive innovation capabilities and capacities. In terms of supply push, we focus on driving commercialization and translation of R&D from the labs to market. As for market pull, we work closely with government agencies and large corporates, both locally and globally, to identify problem statements for which there are currently no available solutions in the market. Next, we look at the growing startups as a pillar of innovation. For highly disruptive or nascent technologies, startups are the most suitable vehicles to bring such innovations and develop the markets for it. As such, we work hard to establish Singapore as a global startup hub that will attract the best talent to build deep tech startups out of Singapore to serve the global market. The last pillar is to deepen and develop enterprises' innovation capability. We work closely with our companies to identify where they need to strengthen their in-house capabilities and core competencies, and where they have the capability and capacity to work with in an ever more complex and fast-moving technologies and business models. This will include strengthening talent, helping with acquisition, finding partners to innovate, etc. The continued success of Singapore's startup ecosystem can be attributed to the supportive growth environment. We are home to more than 100 incubators and accelerators helping startups scale in various sectors such as healthcare and data analytics. This is further complemented by more than 200 venture capital investors actively looking at potential investment opportunities in Singapore. In addition, startups in Singapore are able to scale with a strong community of MNCs seeking innovation opportunities and partners with an extensive regional reach. A noteworthy mention is that in the year of 2019, more than US $10 billion was poured into Singapore-based startups, an increase of over 30% from 2018. There are several ways to promote innovation in an ecosystem, and they can take place individually, with partners, or tapping on the open market for solutions. The first bucket, which is the in-house innovation, we look at Dyson. The UK origin MNC established its R&D facility focusing on developing new technologies for the future, including AI, machine learning, robotics, fluid dynamics, and vision systems. The facility also houses the Global Technology Center of Excellence, which serves to lead downstream R&D for new product categories and IoT technologies to support the firm's move into the smart homes market. The second bucket is the co-innovation. Singtel, which is Asia's leading communications group, has partnered with the National Technology University of Singapore to accelerate innovation in AI, advanced data analytics, robotics, and smart computing in areas such as public safety, healthcare, and manufacturing. The partnership is expected to expand the product range of Singtel and its regional ICT subsidiary, NCS. The last bucket is the open innovation. ST Engineering, Asia's largest engineering group, set up its corporate venture capital and open innovation lab in 2017 to venture beyond traditional R&D approaches and seek technologies and ideas outside of the company. The CVC and Open Innovation Lab help ST Engineering take strategic investments in emerging and disruptive technologies and tap on the larger innovation ecosystem to create and grow new adjacent businesses in Singapore. As a quick summary, Singapore offers a comprehensive ecosystem to facilitate innovation with both foreign and local partners across different industry verticals. Staying on the topic of innovation, and I'm just rounding up my presentation, I would just like to highlight the success of the Singapore FinTech Festival, or SFF, and Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology, or SWITCH, in 2019. It's the first time both events have come together to create the largest innovation, startup, and technology festival in Asia. We had received over 60,000 attendees, seen over 1,000 exhibitors, and welcomed 41 international pavilions. This further reinforces Singapore's efforts to promote Singapore as a hub for corporate innovation and deal making. The Slingshot International Startup Competition has also received over 2,000 applications from 120 countries. SWITCH 2020 will continue to take place in November in Singapore in a virtual setting, and we look forward to. I would just like to end off with a mention that Enterprise Singapore is here to be a partner for growth for both Singapore-based companies as well as to our Qatari friends and companies. A warm thank you once again to Doha Bank for inviting Enterprise Singapore, and thank you, and we look forward to seeing you virtually or physically in market.
Thank you, Mr. Imran. I think His Excellency Ambassador has set an extraordinary tone as two model economists. The difference is, in terms of considered vision and execution. Without resources, Singapore created a model economy. In terms of substance, Qatar has got a huge convergence in terms of political, social, and economic progression. And Imran has highlighted and reassured the overall business community. As we speak, we have thousands of people who have logged in Facebook, and we are direct logging over 250 people. Now we have an exciting prospects in bilateral terms. Let's look at from Mr. Adrian, Secretary General, Singapore Business Council, Qatar, Manager of CBM Qatar, has to say something interesting in terms of business evolution in terms of bilateral partnership. Mr. Adrian.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Sitaraman.
Thank you.
All right, if I could just get the slides going. Next slide, please. All right, it's almost 10 a.m. In Doha, so a very good morning, Your Excellency, Dr. Sitaraman, and fellow presenters. Good afternoon, Singapore, and greetings to our friends from all around the world. It is an honor to be on this webinar with Doha Bank today. My name is Adrian. I'm the General Manager of CBM Qatar and the Chartered FM Surveyor of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyor. I've been in Doha since 2010, so it has been close to almost 10 years now. I'm the Secretary General of the Singapore Business Council here, and also one of the co-founders of the council. The whole council initiative was actually the brainchild of Ambassador Jai in the bid to improve the bilateral relationship. All right, before we begin, please allow me just a few minutes for a quick introduction of our companies. Next, please. All right, CBM Qatar is a triple ISO certified FM company, and we have been operating in Qatar since about 2009. And earlier this year, we actually opened our first fully owned Qatar Free Zone branch office here. We are in partnership with the Al Imadi Group, which is a highly respected private developer group here in Qatar. As an integrated FM provider, the services we provide is rather diverse, from engineering to front desk, cleaning, housekeeping, and even sanitizing services, which seems to be really popular nowadays. Next, please. For those of you who are dialing in from Singapore and who are also wondering who is CBM, we always find that it's easier for us to explain that our HQ, CBM Singapore, is the facilities management arm of a CDL, CD Development Limited. So CBM is technically one of the international FM arm of CDL, and we always find that this makes it much easier for our friends in Singapore to digest. Next, please. Okay, and these are just a quick snapshot of some of our esteemed clients in Doha. Okay, without further ado, allow me to go straight into the topics for today. Next, please. Right. So today, I will do my best to provide a very practical, quick guide on navigating the complex business environment in Qatar. For those of you who are looking to expand your businesses here, though it may not sound easy, but Qatar can be seen as a diamond mine, full of opportunities waiting to be explored. So this is more like a place where you learn how to thrive, not so much in the black and white area, but you learn how to thrive in the gray area of things. Next, please. So I'll be sharing 6 very practical tips here. When it comes to setting up a business, do decide as early as possible if you're entering the market as 100% foreign ownership or with a local partner or sponsor. There are options available for either choice for you. If this is your first time expanding overseas, do be extremely mindful that entering into a formal relationship here is almost like a marriage. If you found a good and influential partner and live happily ever after, congratulations. Success can be almost guaranteed here. But if it doesn't work out, then good luck to you. You would be expecting a very messy and probably a very painful divorce. So don't rush the process. Take the time to know your partner better before you settle down. Make some effort to meet in person and not just via emails. You don't meet somebody via Zoom and just enter into a marriage straight away. Next, please. The second thing I want to share is that be aware that the visa system here is very unique and it determines the nationality that you can hire. So let's say if you have decided to start up a business here in Qatar, be prepared with a plan B and a plan C. Know that every business here has a visa quota. In Qatar, these are assigned visa types and nationality to each businesses, which may or may not coincide with that of the person you desperately need. I'll just give a simple example. If a business requires a highly specialized skilled person, specific person from Singapore to be based here to work, what if you couldn't get a Singaporean visa? What's plan B? Can someone else from any other country, say Philippines, India, Nepal, or whichever nationality that's assigned to you, can they fill in this gap? So these are something that you have to be really mindful of. Next, please. Honestly, Qatar may not be for the faint-hearted. Like I said earlier, Qatar is like a diamond mine full of opportunities deep down, but is the mine stable, or would you collapse halfway? Things do change fast and furious here. The higher power play here is much more dynamic here than back in Singapore. Businesses and properties could change hands as often as once every few years. Don't underestimate the influence of your local sponsors. Although you can say that the market swings often, if you're having the right partner, it could always swing in your favor. So this is and something you should have to bear in mind. Next. And know that over here, be mindful that any awarded contracts here, for us who are operating here, we don't consider a contract as done deal until the entire contract is finished and all payments are collected. So let's say, I'll just give an example of how does this affect your business decision. Say if your business marketing structure is commission-based, when and how do you pay out commissions for closed deals to your agents? At the point of signing, throughout the contract period, or at the end upon completion? What are the risks if the contract gets cancelled halfway? Can you take back the paid commission from the agent? So these are just some of the examples of how dynamic things can be and how you should consider the business structure of your business. Next, please. The fifth point I want to share is to make sure that you watch your cash flow closely. In Qatar, you have to be prepared for a little bit of a payment delays, both mentally and as well as financially. You probably will need some understanding from a Singapore head office. Know that this is not Singapore. Payment don't usually come within 14 days grace, and honestly, there's nothing much you can do about it. Just except to wait. So in Qatar, payment within even 30 days is considered pretty rare. 60 days is not uncommon, and even 90 days can be considered as quite a norm. Sometimes you could even go as much as 180 days. Inshallah, you will usually get paid. It's more like a matter of a when. So can the business hold until then? That's the biggest question. So do some research on potential clients, as some of them here have a good reputation and some has a bad reputation as a paymaster. So these are some areas which you probably need to have to ask around a little bit. Next. This is my sixth and the last point. I will close off this session with 2 slides on this topic. So remember again, this is Qatar, this is the Middle East, this is not Singapore, and connection is a major key to success here. So don't underestimate the power of connection and network in Qatar. Your network is usually considered as your net worth here. So networking companies such as BNI, business councils, reach out to them, and this could be the established organizations with deep networks that you could tap on to give you a head start in Qatar. Next, please. So you have to learn to source out and tap into established groups such as, of course, the Singapore Business Council. You can find it on the website here, and other networking companies. The Singapore Business Council was set up in 2018 by a group of Singaporean volunteers to help Singapore companies understand the Qatar market better. So if you have decided and registered here, we can help you with some outreach when you're physically here. Know the difference though. Specialized networking companies typically have huge volumes, so they have the spread and they have the outreach. Business councils here are typically headed by the influential super rank professionals of their respective nationalities. So with this, I've come to my last slides. So thank you very much, and I hope this session will come in useful to you in a way or another. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and well done, Adrian. It was quite productive, and all the tips that you have given should be useful to the business community who are coming from Singapore. And I can tell you, we are the first Qatari bank to step in Singapore way back in 2006 during the International Monetary Fund time. In 2004 and 5, I had a privilege of looking at the mentor prime minister who was here. The Father Amir was hosting him, and subsequently I had visited Singapore monetary authorities, and we were building relationship. Enterprise Singapore was instituting our bilateral relationship, and our office was suggested by Suntec by Enterprise Singapore, and again the bilateral relationships were grooming well. The mission was set in 2006. His Excellency Ambassador was kind enough to put the prospects in place, and both of you have elucidated in detailed terms. I'm going to show how we can leverage, how we can give these tips from a professional perspective. What are the various nucleus of information we have, how we are enabling the business community, what are the changing dynamics in terms of the overall market opportunities for Qataris who wants to invest in Singapore. And similarly, Singaporean companies or individual or institutions who wants to step into Qatar. It's a growing relationship, and extraordinary set of changes happening around the world to start with. Nobody expected such a great tragedy and a great recession in substance in the last 5 months. It is extraordinary for us to see through the human loss we have gone through, over 614,000 as on date. We lost in this planet on account of COVID-19. I mean, we have over 14.7 million people infected. We have change in dynamics in multiple forms. Our focus is to manage the disaster recovery, do the remedial management, and get into business continuity. And that's what every country has engaged in. Globally, 194 countries are engaged in making sure this planet is enduring its values for humanity and human prosperity. The economic risk it has created has to be mapped. Many governments across the globe has looked at the fiscal measures, monetary measures. Again, the social risk in terms of social distancing or hygiene or healthcare, we have to look at it objectively and to see, protect our people. And environmental risk we have had, and we are having still in terms of the overall framework, how to find a solution. Perhaps one way of looking at is to recognize the positivity. We have lesser carbon emission, and we are trying to look at alternates to make sure this planet is enduring its values for environment sustainability. But the issues remains are to be mapped in total terms. And the human risk we are still going through. We are not sure the solution in total terms unless we have the entire planet is fully administered. Almost 7 billion people are administered in absolute terms. Otherwise, it's human-to-human transmission. This is endangering the solvency of anyone and everyone. It defied all the logic. It transcended borders, caste, creed, religion, country, developed world, developing world, name it. It has got no division or border. It has defied the territorial integrity. Human, efforts are there. There is a huge lesson we have learned. One thing we all have learned, when our attitude of mind changes, we change our lives. Our personal makeup has changed. Professional challenges are all about making sure we sustain the value chain. We live in this planet for greater prosperity, and we create a better world for the society. And that's what the focus is all about. That's the bigger picture. Let us look at how Qatar has performed. In the next few slides, I'm going to showcase the global changing dynamics. Again, how Qatar is transforming and how Singapore has taken prudent measures in terms of monetary or fiscal side, and what are the various bilateral opportunities. So far, we have seen the extraordinary chemistry between these two countries. His Excellency, the Ambassador has mentioned in clear terms, whether it is hydrocarbon or non-hydrocarbon, whether it is the overall modernization. These countries have, these two countries have come a long way in building this partnership and recognizing each other's strength and enduring its values to greater prosperity. And that's what here we are. The thousands of people who are watching this webinar will get the value chain. And that's what we are going to discuss in bilateral terms, synergistic opportunities between Qatar and Singapore. Let's move on. First, we are going to look at the global partner, picture. And the International Monetary Fund has set in revision in terms of economic indicators time and again. It was supposed to be 3.6, 3.7% global growth when we met last year in October. And it was revised downward to 3% in January this year in Davos, because the contentious trade issues between China and US and developing world and developed world have their own say. And G7 has become G20 since last financial crisis. Last crisis in 2008 was confined to financial sector. This has defied all the logics. It is a paralysis in substance in terms of business breakdowns, and humanity is at stake. And that's the challenge we have. How do we make it more positive and productive? How do we create value chain out of it? How do we convert the negatives into positives? These are substances we have to understand. How do we bring in the endeavors in terms of recognition? We need to understand. We have to eliminate extreme poverty. We have to bring in food security. We can do it through digital governance, taking this global governance as an opportunity. When we converge to solve this crisis pandemic, we can make the changes in substance. But the challenge is extraordinary. We can bring in digital governance and make sure we can put in enormous prospects for education, online, offline, and making sure even gender equality can be recognized, and we can give women education, women participation in governance through digital support. Hygiene, healthcare, we can bring in. Environment sustainability, we can bring in. Plenty of opportunities for us to interpret in positive terms. Justice, peace, we can bring in through value chain, using the commercial disputes through digital governance. Again, commercial courts, upper or lower, can come in through digital support, and we can dispute resolutions can be cleared in fast track. So plenty of opportunities for us to see through. First, let me start with the IMF. Now, what it has got to say in current context in terms of global productivity. So these are the substance. Global economies is going to grossly underperform in terms of productivity. A contraction of 4.9% is what in April. And again, it is a different revision of late in June. It says a total contraction of not less than 8% in aggregate terms for the developed world, and contraction of 3% in developing or emerging market. In substance, in aggregate terms, global contraction is 4.9%. Here is a clip. So that's the challenge we have. We have a contraction. How do we bring it to normalcy in terms of economic governance? So the technocrats, the central bankers, are going to take the monetary tools, accommodative tools. The fiscal, the government is going to initiate the fiscal measures, improving the money supply, reducing the interest rate, improving the debt servicing capacity for individuals or institutions or businesses. And again, making sure some freebies are given to see sustenance is not challenged for individuals and institutions. So we have plenty of alignment required between the monetary and fiscal policy. Every government in the world has engaged in such prudent measures. Between 10 to 15% is the average GDP has been spent on this to make sure we bring in economic sustainable value chain. And let's look at
the U.S. Federal Reserve has kept interest rates unchanged at 0 to 0.25% and said it would keep interest rates near zero through 2022. It also projected the U.S. economy would shrink by 6.5% this year, but bounce back with a 5% gain in 2021.
We're not thinking about raising rates. We're not even thinking about raising rates. So what we're thinking about is providing support for this economy. We do think this is going to take some time.
Yeah, reducing the interest rate and making it almost zero. It may not contract negative, but we have to recognize lowering the interest rate is going to be an enabler for debt servicing. And that's what everyone has done. And globally, monetary policy has been switched on to lower the interest rate. And ECB, again, as an enlarged fraternity, they have taken prudent measures as well. Europe has done, United States has done, the rest of the world has, again, replicated a very similar model in terms of monetary or fiscal framework. Now, Qatar economy as a country, they have taken enormous measures. 75 billion Qatar Riyal has been allocated, and Qatar economy is going to contract this year to the tune of 4.5 to 4.75%. Possibly it will bounce back next year. We all anticipate the solution will come in terms of clinical framework, and it will be administered so that it will bounce back. Global economies is going to recover. Qatar is not an exception, or Singapore is not an exception for next year. But we have to wait and see when we are going to have the total administration of the medicine or the vaccine, and making sure we put back the normalcy, business as usual. Till then, we have to cross the fingers. Now, when it comes to Qatar economy, we are going to have a marginal current account deficit. And again, Singapore, of course, it's going to have current account surplus. I'll tell you in a minute. But meanwhile, we have, may not be having inflation this year. There could be disinflation to the tune of 1.2%. And we have reasons to believe Qatar has taken enough measures to bring in financial stability. Here are some of the measures.
Located on the region's busiest shipping route, Qatar is perfectly positioned for international trade, with direct air and sea connections to Asia, Africa, and Europe. Qatar is becoming a leading destination for next-generation business models. Its thriving, knowledge-based economy has helped secure its place among the most competitive business environments in the world, an ideal destination for foreign investment. The past 4 decades have seen a 9-fold increase in Qatar's population to 2.7 million. The current political blockade by neighboring countries has only served to strengthen the nation's self-sufficiency, and strategic investment continues to accelerate. Qatar has already spent $33 billion on infrastructure projects, with new contracts to be awarded over the next 3 years, not least with the 2022 FIFA World Cup on the horizon. The national strategy, Vision 2030, is even more ambitious. Qatar is known as the world's leading supplier of liquefied natural gas and a leading player in aviation and sports and the media.
It's all very exciting in terms of vibrancy and plenty of hydrocarbon and non-hydrocarbon. We are going to have the explanation in a minute. And the central bank has taken enormous measure. I'm going to show you, and then we'll go for details in terms of what are the opportunities in terms of hydrocarbon for Singaporean companies and how they are supporting as on date, how we can also partake in the non-hydrocarbon. And already there are enough measures being taken to promote the non-hydrocarbon growth and hydrocarbon. I'm going to explain to you in details on how Singapore and Qatar can come together. We'll discuss in tandem. Now, plenty of support from the Qatar Central Bank in terms of guidelines for healthcare, social distancing, hygiene maintenance, and again, how to digitally leverage on the network, transaction-based processing, where moving from brick and mortar to click, and plenty of shift we could see. And also loan postponement for 6 months, interest postponement, again, wage protection systems companies where we have reasons to believe we should waive the rent or other benefits in terms of customs exemptions for importers who are essentials. Sectors which are not affected, excluded. Most of the sectors are impacted in tandem. We should understand this and accept that. And that's why Qatar government came with the National Guarantee Program through Qatar Development Bank, have both funded as well as non-funded support at the concessional interest. And again, you have a value advantage for 1 year with no repayment required, or specific approval is required as a joint risk participation. Commercial banks and Qatar Development Bank has come together and supported thousands of companies. That's very useful. Overall, financial stability is getting accomplished. And that's what we are in. Now, in terms of overall hydrocarbons.
As I mentioned, regarding the North Field, we are full steam ahead. We are, as we have mentioned in the past, we're going to be awarding all our contracts for North Field expansion project. We have 2 phases, the east and the south expansion. We're going to go from 77 million tons per annum to 110 million tons per annum by 2025, and then up from 110 to 126 by the year 2027. We've ordered all the shipping requirements, and we've booked slots for about $20 billion we've announced just a couple of weeks ago, and that's at the cost of around $20 billion US, and we've booked up 60% of the entire world's capacity of building LNG ships. So these, we call them our moving pipelines, if you will, but that's to have our full supply chain up and ready by the time we have all the developments in place.
So the hydrocarbon expansion continues. And that's going to happen, and that's going to be productive for the economy. And global supply chain has been measured and managed. Diversification as well as distribution of these production is going to happen in phases. As planned, it is moving ahead. And we also have seen the reflection today. It is energy efficient, environment friendly, with greener postures. The world at large is looking at creating a sustainable economy. And again, green economy building is a must. Energy mix is changing from fossil fuel to renewables, and LNG is a vital role to play. And 5% increase in your energy mix can create enormous amount of carbon reduction. And if you start gradually improving the overall energy mix, less from the foreign fossil fuels, you will have value advantage. You will breathe cleaner air, and you will have less pollutions, and we can bring good society. And that's very important. And let's look at the opportunities in terms of these are some of the engineering marvels. You have excitement in the place now. The 2022 is going to be a major happening. in this part of the world, Qatar in particular. So we are all getting ready for it. And you have seen the design and the accomplishments Qatar is getting set, including social distancing is been making sure sustainability is factored into it. Greener posture is factored into it. And that's what is the need of the hour. Look at the airport again.
The world around us has changed and placed new challenges to the travel experience. At Hamad International Airport, we have embraced the change and elevated our safety measures. We are adopting new wearable intelligent technology. Smart screening helmets are safe and effective. It uses advanced technologies like infrared thermal imaging, artificial intelligence, and augmented reality display. Staff will continue to be screened, as well as passengers, at arrival and boarding points. We have also introduced disinfection robots, which reduce the spread of infectious germs in crucial areas using ultraviolet light. Thorough sanitization and disinfection will continue to take place at all high contact areas. Baggage handling belts, trolleys and tubs will be routinely disinfected. All departing, arriving and transferring baggage will be disinfected as well. Hand sanitizers will be made available at all key locations. Social distancing of 1.5 meters will continue to be established through floor markings, clear signage, and implementing distance seating. We are here, and we are ready to provide you with a safe journey in the future so that you can travel with confidence once again.
So that is the International Airport, Hamad International Airport getting set. And today morning, we read the news that you have relaxation in terms of the overall travel, and there are conditions precedent, but it is going to improve the overall business climate. We also have Qatar Exchange Traded Fund. We have floated very successful administration for investors who want to have silver bullet solution. This is the first exchange traded fund. It's economy and one index, that is one traded fund. Best of the breed, and the Qatar economic fundamentals are strong. To elucidate further, let me have the pleasure of inviting my colleague, Mr. Goodney, the head of Treasury and Investments. Goodney.
Yeah,
Tell me.
Good
Yes.
morning and good afternoon, Singapore.
Tell me about the key ETF. What was the performance last year? How it has been quite effective?
Yes, I mean, we're very excited about this fund. Since the inception of this fund, which was in mid-2018, the total return of this fund or the index has been just under 20%. And that puts our local stock exchange in the top 10 category worldwide. So I think that speaks for itself. I think this is also a reflection of other things happening in Qatar. And I think if you look at Qatar through the lens of a global investors, there are two things that spring to mind immediately: strong fundamentals and good value. So when I say fundamentals and strong fundamentals, I am referring to the strong credit rating of the sovereign. AA rated credit is for a sovereign is a very strong rating and demonstrates the underlying fundamentals here locally. In terms of relative value and good relative value, the QETF, which gives you exposure to the 20 blue chip companies here in Qatar, is one example. There's also great other plethora of other opportunities for investors. And now I look at this from an angle of Singapore, which is a global financial hub. Investors, they have a lot of things to look forward to here in Qatar. They can buy government-rated paper at 2% in dollars. In local currency, 3.5%. And not to mention the banks. We have here a selection of singular rated banks operating here in Qatar. And for global investors to either buy their senior bonds or subordinated bonds, or even place deposits here locally, the returns are very competitive and probably returns that investors from other regions are not used to see. So here in Qatar, so much to look forward to, not just football in 2020, but also for global investors, there are a plethora of opportunities.
Absolutely right. So when it comes to investment, Qatar is a place, and the economic fundamentals are linked to the barometer in terms of the exchange-traded fund like us. And definitely Doha Bank is there to support. Thank you for the wonderful explanation. And Gunis Salhot is handling our treasury as well. A lot of Singaporean financial institutions coordinate with him and his team, and we have great support from Singaporean companies and also the banks. Let me move on to the next one. So in the free zone
Authority is establishing a cluster of free zones, including Ras Bafuntas, located beside Hamad International Airport, the best airport in the Middle East, and Al Hul, with direct access to Hamad Port, the world's biggest greenfield port development. Qatar free zones offer foreign investors 100% ownership, zero customs duty and corporation tax, no individual income tax, quick building permits, and access to a skilled workforce. On the ground, free zones also provide fully serviced plots, dedicated security, hotel and retail facilities, as well as advanced broadband to ensure optimal connectivity. While Qatar welcomes investment in any sector, exciting opportunities already exist in logistics, e-commerce, food packaging, pharmaceuticals, and plastics. With an eye to the future, we're also focused on disruptive industries, such as renewable energy, power storage solutions, and artificial intelligence. Be part of the Qatar Free Zones initiative, with everything in place, from essential infrastructure and facilities to ease of shipping and customs. Your business can flourish as a truly global player in partnership with the Qatar Free Zones Authority.
Qatar Free Zone is a bigger opportunity. You have economic zone to support. Free zone, you've seen the taxation rate is bare minimum, it's flat. And Singaporean companies can come in here. We are here to support. To explain more about what sort of support we can give, let me invite Mr. Ahmed Naji, Head of Corporate and Commercial Banking from Doha Bank. Ahmed.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Tell us what sort of support we can give for Singaporean companies if they are coming to Qatar and setting up in the free zone. What sort of funded or non-funded business support you can give?
Sure. Actually, we can help the Singaporean companies coming into Qatar for various projects and the trading to establish the companies by way of providing banking facilities. We have dedicated a branch for corporate customers at the head office, and they can assist to open the accounts and register for various services of the bank. We can establish facilities to issue tender bonds, which will enable the companies to bid for the projects. Then based on the successful award of the project, we can issue performance bond and other required guarantees. We can issue these guarantees against the counterbank guarantee issued by their bankers in Singaporean banks, or in case-by-case basis on the strength and based on the strength of the company by way of the assignments from government institution. Also, we can provide funded facilities to execute the project, such as discountings, invoice discountings, or LC refinancing, etc. We have, by the way, already have experience with one of the strong Singaporean company called SECC. They are engaged in fit-out projects for 4 of the hotels financed by Doha Bank, and the amounts are in hundreds of millions. We have seen their excellent performance record, and we are willing to be engaged in financing such projects similar to this company. We are here to facilitate and advise the way you can continue or start your business in Qatar.
That's wonderful. A good summary, Ahmed. Well done. Now we have, Ambassador has just mentioned, Gulf-Singapore Free Trade Agreement in September 2013. That's a starting point. Now we invite more and more Singaporean companies. We have Enterprise Qatar, we have Qatar Singapore Business Council, and Doha Bank is there for you. In fact, plenty of opportunities for us. Even if you're a small and medium-sized entrepreneurship, you have reasons to believe that we can support. We are the number 1 in terms of small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. We're the first one to start in 2006, and we have recently we are collaborating with Qatar Development Bank on the Al-Damin programs, and we are a partner bank. Let me invite at this point Atul, my head of small and medium-sized entrepreneurship. Atul, can you explain how we can support this for Singaporean companies?
Yes, boss. I will just answer your question in 2 parts. One is A part is related to the opportunities which are available to SMEs in Qatar. As run-up to FIFA 22, we feel that there will be a lot of opportunities will be available in service sector, especially on the facility management. Then we have event management opportunities will be there, and related activities like online ticket booking and call center, information center like this. And we see another opportunity which has, I think, not explored properly in Qatar, is digitization among SME companies. So this is I think a little concept selling is required so that people can start thinking of developing all the digitization, automation in their processes and procedures. Regarding the support available to your question regarding support available to the SMEs, as rightly said by you, we were the first bank to introduce special SME unit in Qatar, and we offer all products and services under the name of Al-Damin, under our brand name Tatweed, where we offer all kind of working capital finance products. We offer capex financing, we offer letter of guarantees, letter of credit, and then we offer a lot of services like online banking. We have Doha Soup e-platform. We have our insurance risk solutions are there through our wholly owned subsidiary DBAG. So these are kind of services and all that we offer. Apart from that, we are, of course, we are a leading partner bank with Qatar Development Bank, under where we offer Al-Damin product, which guarantees 85% of the loan. So this is a product basically for startup companies, and of course we look forward from Singapore companies who want to start some manufacturing or into healthcare or some other related areas. We can definitely step into as a support to these companies.
Very useful, Atul. We can support through our Tadwi program as well as Al-Damin program alliance with Qatar Development Bank. That's interesting for Singaporean companies to explore this market. experiment and the opportunities. Let me move on. And Qatar investment is substantial investment has gone in bilateral terms, and as His Excellency has mentioned, a strategic relationship, and they have joint investment participation through Singaporean Sovereign Fund and Qatar investment authorities have done in the past, and Qatar itself has invested in multiple form and substance in Singapore. It's a growing relationship, and we are here to explore further opportunities to promote the bilateral values. And we have hydrocarbon. We have growing relationship, and as His Excellency has mentioned, a strategically important hub for Qatar LNG exports in the region. Singapore is always a hub, whether trade or manufacturing or for that matter, LNG is a bigger opportunity for us to look at Asia Pacific as well as Southeast Asia, as the ambassador has mentioned. Now, the trade side, we have growing relationship. Let me ask, what was the last year trade and how much we can further promote bilateral terms? What are the various trade support we are giving, and what are the project specifics where we can bring in trade finance expertise? Here is my colleague, Mr. Namit Gatani. Can you join and explain to us what was the bilateral trade between Singapore and Qatar last year in 2019? What is the level of trade we have this year, 2020, up to May or June?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Thank you. And good morning, all distinguished guests. We had over about $6 billion worth of trade between Singapore and Qatar. And this year we have already crossed over $2.5 billion. So it shows a very strong bilateral relationship between Singapore and Qatar. In terms of opportunity, I think and I believe we have multiple areas of collaboration under trade finance which are available, be it exports from Qatar to Singapore or imports from Singapore to Qatar. For example, Singapore being an international trade hub, a well-known international trade hub, we can collaborate and support trade finance transactions by way of LC, discountings, negotiations, which are very traditional trade finance products and are very useful for international trade. Additionally, we have infrastructure projects in Qatar which needs guarantees, which are also part of trade finance, and we are very well positioned to support all Singapore-based companies in their projects in Qatar. Earlier, there has been participation in the sewage treatment plants and the vessel maintenance contracts, and with the upcoming projects in line with national vision of Qatar, I'm sure there will be many participation from Singaporean companies, and we are well positioned to support them. To sum it up all, I think we are very well positioned to cater to all kind of trade finance requirements between Qatar and Singapore. Thank you, sir.
I remember, Keppel Group has joined venture tie-up with Nakilat, and last year itself you mentioned 6.4 billion, and this year also is growing in spite of the challenges in the global economy. Now, as the MOU signed between Qatar Chamber and Singapore Business Federation for trade and investment is important that we will further invite the opportunities and bilateral terms. Now, we also have to understand that the market momentum is picking up in multiple forms. Keppel Group work on North Sewage treatment workers, and Qatar Emir has visited in October 2017, and Qatar Chamber and Commerce arranged a business meet with Singaporean companies in April 2018, and we hosted the Singaporean companies in our own building here. And Singaporean companies in Qatar projects, new Doha International Projects, Customs Authority, they have partaken. So it is a growing relationship, and whether it is funded or non-funded support, as we rightly said. On the banking side, we have plenty of
يعتبر توفر بوابة إلكترونية موثوقة لخدمة الإنترنت المصرفي أمرا ذا أهمية قصوى. أهلا وسهلا بكم في البوابة.
So that is the SME for you. Now, on the banking side, we have growing relationship between Singaporean banks and Doha Bank. Over the years, the financial institution relationship has been exemplary in bilateral terms. Now, let me invite the head of international banking, Mr. Andre. Can you tell us about the growing partnership between Singaporean banks? And we have plenty of opportunities to grow together. Andre?
Good morning, Doctor, and good morning to all the participants and especially to the guest speakers. Yes, the relationship between Doha Bank and the banks in Singapore has always been very active and very strong. And we expect this to continue and become even stronger now that the world is coming to grips with the COVID and now that the markets are adjusting to the new normal. I would like to split the areas of cooperation that we have as Doha Bank with Singapore in as far as focusing on Qatar market, and then I will explain how we can work together in the domestic market in Singapore as well. To start with Qatar, we as Doha Bank, and I would like to use a phrase that one of the other panelists, Adrian, has used. We would like to become your banking partner, but furthermore, we would like to become your net worth here in the local market. We are very well placed and capable and really ready to participate in any business opportunities that you are interested in and be your local enabler for you and your bank and your companies to participate in the local market. Having said that, we can facilitate your payment needs, remittances, and as Namit has also said, we can issue all your required bid bonds, performance bonds, financial or other type of guarantees that you require in the local market. And for that matter, we can also replicate that into the GCC region as well. To move across to Doha Bank offering services or participating in Singapore, we've experienced that many of the banks in that region and Singapore has got limited appetite for some of the banks here in the GCC region and for that matter, all across the world. So we are well placed and have over the years have created a huge appetite for funding or participating in your funded and unfunded trade-related risk participations. So we would welcome you to approach us for that, and we can enable you not just in Qatar or in the GCC region, but also in other regions to participate in your trade finance business. Also, I would like to emphasize, as what Gudni has said, is Qatar and Doha Bank offer you a very safe and a sought-after A-rated investment environment to participate in our funding activities or to place your funds or excess liquidity and deposits in a secure and a very attractive, positive yielding institution. So in short, we are ready to do business with you here in Qatar, and we are also ready to replicate what we have here across our regions where we have presence. We have presence in 14 countries in terms of rep offices, and we have branches in Kuwait, UAE, and 3 branches in India, where we're also ready to take your business to the next level and participate and be your trusted partner in the regions and across the globe. So I would invite you to also visit our website, where you will find the contact details of all our overseas offices and obviously our departments here at head office for your specific needs. In conclusion, I like to finish off by saying that look forward to seeing and having contact with you in the near future. Thank you.
Brilliant, Andre. You said it and summarized it very well. Now, the final part of it, the last part of our webinar today, and we have seen the model economy of Singapore, even though it's going to go through contraction this year on account of COVID, it is going to bounce back. And I am excited about the overall fiscal and monetary measures, supplementary budgets in multiple forms. You know, nearly 3 to 4 times they have taken fiscal prudence to see that measuring it and let it come. When it comes to healthcare, how beautifully managed, how extraordinary the support systems were. The mortality rate is very minimum, and looking at the overall cases depicted, also registered as on date, is also measurable. It's an excellent administration. That's what we are, happy about Singapore, and Singapore is known for its class. Look at the overall.
Now, the central bank has eased its monetary policy amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The widely expected move effectively weakens the Singapore dollar. As Brandon Tenoto reports, it's the most aggressive move by the MAS since the 2009 financial crisis.
Weakening the Singapore dollar will be an upside for a trade-reliant and open economy like Singapore.
When it comes to the export competitiveness as well, today's easing would help bring down the currency slightly, which may help with some of the businesses that are trying to export.
Economists say the latest policy shift won't have any immediate impact on the daily lives of Singaporeans, but the central bank's deflation forecast could.
Oil prices are going to stay low for quite a prolonged period, and domestically, with lower consumer sentiments as well as a weaker labour market, you may see a decline in demand, which would result to a fall in prices. So I think inflationary pressures will not exist in 2020. We will likely see prices of most of goods and services come down because of the reduction in demand.
That's interesting, isn't it? March, as well as March they've taken, and the percentage is over 10% at the time. Now it has improved further.
Singapore's government on Tuesday announced another 33 billion Singapore dollars, $2 billion to support its economy, which has been severely hit by the coronavirus pandemic. That's the fourth stimulus package that the Southeast Asian country has announced since the outbreak. It came after Singapore's Ministry of Trade and Industry slashed its forecasts for gross domestic product. It now expects GDP to shrink by between 4.0% and 7.0% in 2020, its third downgrade in economic projections this year. Along with the previous three stimulus packages, Singapore will spend nearly 100 billion Singapore dollars, $4 billion, to help businesses and households manage the economic impact of the coronavirus. That's almost 20% of the country's GDP, said Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Heng Swee Keat. This is a landmark package and a necessary response to an unprecedented crisis, Heng said in a speech to Parliament.
That's over 20%. That's huge, 70.4 billion. That's what exactly. But there are bilateral opportunities, bilateral visits being attempted. His Highness Amir visited Singapore in October 2017. And again, Qatar's Deputy Prime Minister visited in August 2019. Let's look at the clips. In bilateral terms, things are improving. His Highness and the Prime Minister of Singapore, Qatar. Qatar delivers to Pavilion Gas in Singapore in April 2018. That's also a good development. LNG cargo. And we have Qatar Chamber of Commerce again, instituting joint meeting. We hosted some of the companies, and it's a growing relationship.
Singapore and Qatar have reaffirmed their warm and friendly ties after an official visit here by Qatar's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister. Mr. Sheikh Mohammed Abdurrahman Al Thani called on President Halimah Yacob.
He also called on Deputy Prime Minister Heng Swee Keat to discuss ways to deepen relations in finance and trade. He and Singapore Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan then co-chaired a meeting to discuss collaboration in the area of business, information and communications technology and law.
2 agreements were signed. Mr. Sheikh Mohammed also called on Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for National Security, Teo Chee Hean. They discussed regional and international developments.
So it's a growing partnership. We have seen the reflection again. Senior Minister Chee Hean visited in November last year, and we have discussed the trade, we have discussed the hydrocarbon, We have discussed the non-hydrocarbon with plenty of opportunities in Qatar as well. So we are going to build this partnership more than ever. We are going to make sure this Qatar Singapore synergistic opportunities are leveraged in total terms. Here is a bank with an extraordinary settings, having an office way back in 2006. His Excellency Sheikh Abdullah bin Saud Al Thani, the governor of the central bank, visited to Singapore and inaugurated our office in Suntec, and we are holding a strong relationship over the years, and we are here to host your delegation. We are here to work with US partners, with the federations, with the joint ventures or investment partnership which we can create. We can add value in multiple forms, including the alliance required in total terms. Our representative office is waiting to hear from you, and our outlook is stable. We are A-rated bank, and Doha Bank is going to be a partner for years to come for your friendly needs. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention. I also compliment the speakers, and I will request now Ivan to say a few words as a closing remark.
Thank you, sir. To close the section, we would like to thank the speakers again, His Excellency Mr. Jai Sohan, Mr. Imran, Mr. Idran, Dr. Sita Rahman, and the senior management colleagues from Doha Bank for the presentation and sharing your insights with the audience today. And most importantly, we thank you, the audience, for dialing in, and we hope that you find this session useful. If you need more information on Qatar, please feel free to contact and reach out to us anytime. Meanwhile, please continue to take good care, keep well and safe during the virus pandemic period. See you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, all of you. And thanks, Mr. Ibrahim and Adrian. Thank you for participation. His Excellency is my great friend, and his participation is a feather in the cap. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, audience, for your kind attention.